unless you nitwits, ignoramuses around the world, can scientifically prove that it's true. Guess what, nitwits? It ain't true.
This debate gets pretty contentious pretty quickly. This student challenges Cliffe on his authority to preach because he doesn't have any supernatural powers or insight from God. It does not go very well for this young man. Hit that subscribe button and comment down below which point you thought was the best on either side of the argument.
So what makes you think that you know the secrets of life and you tell all of us what we don't know? When you can't do any miracles here, all you're doing is talking. Any of us can go up here and talk about anything we want. It doesn't make it true. You're nothing more than a human, just like all of us.
Okay, this young man's off to a really rough start. Let me ask you this, does someone need to be able to do something perfectly in order to teach it well? Perhaps for some disciplines, but I'd say not for all. Does Tiger Woods' swing coach need to be able to hit the ball better than him in order to teach Tiger Woods? You'll see as we go along here, this young student fails to realize the hypocrisy in nearly all of his arguments.
Bravo. Well put.
What makes you think you know the secrets of life and can tell everybody else about it?
Good. I do not know the secret to life. Do not put your faith in me. Do not give me your money. You'd be an idiot to follow me and put your faith in me. But Jesus Christ.
Okay, that right there.
The evidence is Jesus Christ is reliable. You'd be very wise to, for yourself, read the Gospels, examine the evidence that points to his credibility, and put your faith not in me, but in Christ.
Okay, a lot of us have Christian backgrounds. That's just their culture. A lot of people have Muslim, different religions. They're all brought up teaching that was the right way. That's what you think. That's what they think. What it turns out when you get down to the bottom of it, it's nothing more than I think, I believe. It doesn't make it true. You can believe whatever you want. Having faith in something does not prove it or validate it.
Exactly.
Okay, so you can believe in Jesus, Muhammad, whoever you want. It doesn't make it real beyond your own head.
Yes, exactly correct. He is perfectly right here, but he fails to realize that atheism and agnosticism fall into the exact same categories. He seems to be operating under the assumption that those worldviews are correct. They deserve the exact same scrutiny as the ones he's scrutinizing here. You might be an atheist purely because of the environment you grew up in. Even if a culture influences what you believe growing up, that doesn't make it de facto right or wrong.
And
Right?
So you can go rant and go on and on about how real Jesus is, how real Muhammad is. It doesn't make it real. It's just a person talking. Jesus is real.
Fine. Fine, man, wait a second. That's just fine. But the historical evidence is that Muhammad really lived.
Right. So,
And the historical evidence is that Jesus really lived.
They may have lived, but it doesn't mean that they were some supernatural.
That's correct. You're right.
And just because you say it doesn't make it true.
That's exactly right. That's why if you listen to what I said, I did not say, believe in Jesus because I do. No, no, no. I think you'd be a fool to believe in Jesus because I do. Instead, what I've asked you to do is, with an open mind, read the source document, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and ask yourself, does the historical evidence point to Christ being reliable or not?
Okay. Well, Christ has only existed for 2,000 years. Christianity has only existed for 2,000 years, more or less. What do you think that millions of people all over the world, before Christianity was even thought of, followed their own religions devoutly, passionately, just like you did?
Yes, sir.
It didn't make it real.
Yes.
It didn't make it, they go to heaven or whatever. It didn't make any of it happen beyond their own culture, beyond their own society.
Did that girl in the background just pick her nose?
On their own culture.
Just her eye. Okay, we're in the clear. By the way, even if she did pick her nose, God would still love her.
Beyond their own environment. They could be Incans or,
Right.
whatever culture they were raised in.
Right.
This is pre-Christian.
Yeah.
Just because Jesus is the flavor of the month doesn't mean that it's true.
That's right.
5,000 years from now, maybe Christianity may be forgotten, or maybe something else. Who knows? Just like religions have passed on, religions have, gone in and out of fads and whatever. It's the same thing. It's a human cultural property that's nothing more than a figment of our culture.
Exactly. I totally agree. But yet again, it seems that this student fails to realize that atheism should have that same scrutiny applied to it.
Good. So you've just communicated your faith. And your faith is religion is simply a cultural additive. Different cultures have different religions.
Right.
You can't prove that. It's a faith that you have.
True. You look all
right?
around the world, there are different religions. All of them have identical things. People like you that are promoting one over the other, claiming, one is superior to the other. None of them have anything other than their talk. They don't have any proof as far as numbers. They can say you can't put God in a jar and measure it.
Right.
Okay, so as far
Can't
as
put love in a jar and measure it either.
but as far as being a physical thing,
Right.
God is not provable. It only exists in your head. It cannot be demonstrated scientifically.
That's absolutely correct. You cannot scientifically demonstrate God.
There you go. Therefore, it's nothing more than what's in your head.
Okay, so it seems like he's taking a bit of a materialist position here. That's the idea that the only things that actually exist are those which you can sense by taste, touch, sound, or some other sort of measurement. But unfortunately, materialism has been pretty thoroughly debunked. I've done some videos on that before. Feel free to check them out if you like. If you'd like to see a full video done on the materialist viewpoint and why it's wrong, let me know down in the comments.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would you please prove to me that unless you and I can scientifically prove something, it's not true?
Well, as far as I'm thinking, that you're talking about eternal, your eternal destination. Why should you leave something that important to something you can't prove, something you're going to take on faith? Why are you going to leave your soul's eternity to something I'm just going to believe and hope it's true?
Okay, now let me ask it again. Please scientifically prove to me that unless we can scientifically prove something is true, it's not true.
Well, as far as 2 + 2 = 4, that's accepted to everyone. We can put 4 things and count them. Anyone will tell you there's 4 things there. But as far as I believe in Jesus and blah, 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 no one, that's an individual thing. And it doesn't go beyond the individual. It's like I like chocolate or I like vanilla. It doesn't matter. There's no proof that vanilla is better than chocolate, vice versa. It's all an individual opinion, a concept of the individual.
Now, let me ask it again. Please scientifically prove to me that unless we can prove something scientifically, it's not true.
What you're saying is really not even a question. Because you're saying scientifically prove that unless something is scientifically provable, it's not true.
That's what you're saying. Now I'm asking you to prove it to me.
Well,
You're standing out here saying, come on, man, all these religions, it's all just a cultural thing. It's all just blah, blah, blah. And you are saying, from your educated, superior viewpoint, you look out on all the cultures of the world with all their religions, and you as an educated white Westerner have the intelligence to realize it's all just a cultural bias. That's all it is. And you have as your big, big faith position, unless you nitwits, ignoramuses around the world, can scientifically prove that it's true. Guess what, nitwits? It ain't true. Now I'm asking you, in all honesty, please prove to me that unless you or I can scientifically prove something, it ain't true.
Okay.
Or, sir, is that your cultural bias?
here's the truth. If you drop a ball, it will fall to the ground. That's the law of gravity. Anywhere in the world you drop a ball, it will go on the ground.
Good.
These are scientific principles. They're repeatable. They're provable.
Good.
There are numbers involved. They're measurable.
Great.
There are laws that govern what a ball will do, how fast it will fall, at what speed, when it will hit the ground.
Right.
And all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's scientific. That's not something that says, I believe it, so it's true.
Good. Sir, right now, in your discussion with me, you are not using science. You are using logic. You cannot scientifically prove to me that your logic is true. Sir, when you go home and relate to your roommate, your relationship with your roommate has nothing to do with science. It has everything to do with trust, love, loyalty, and commitment, none of which you can scientifically show. Don't you see, sir, that science is a wonderful branch of knowledge? It's a beautiful branch of knowledge. But it is so narrow. It is so limited. What's a scientific date like? Do you enjoy a scientific date? No, I doubt it very seriously. Does your family life run on science? I doubt it. Scientifically, prove to me that Napoleon fought the Battle of Waterloo. Scientifically, prove to me that Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. Come on, sir. You can't do it.
Well, here's another, just interesting perspective. If you look on a globe, Richmond is a small city among the whole world. What would make you think that of all the people in this world, somebody standing here at Richmond has got some knowledge that they need to spread to everyone else? I mean, what would make you think that all of a sudden, of all the
I'll tell you what.
billion people in
You bet. I'll tell you exactly what. I have a younger brother who's a transplant surgeon. He's involved in genetic research because he transplants kidneys and livers. And guess what, sir? Not all human bodies accept the new kidney or the new liver. And I can promise you, when my brother discovers the genetic way to manipulate a person's genes so they accept the new kidney and liver, he's going to be going all over the world, encouraging people who have to have a liver or kidney transplant to get the genetic manipulation going so their body will not reject the new organ. That is not arrogance on his part. It is motivated by love for people who have to have a new liver or a new kidney.
Cliffe starts to make some really good points here. The young man is making the fallacy of consensus, believing that if there is a consensus, that automatically means that something is correct, meaning an argument is only valid if many people make it. But that begs the question, if you take that stance, how many people need to make the argument in order for you to believe it or take it seriously? What this young student seems to be saying to Cliffe is that you, Cliffe, one single person, obviously can't be the only person that knows the truth. That wouldn't make sense. Well, going by this frame of argumentation, how many people would it take in order for you to believe it? Would it be 10 people? Would it be 50 people? What if in a town of 1 million people, 600,000 people actually believe and argue for the same things that Cliffe is standing for and arguing for here? Would that be enough to sway you? Truly, imagine that. If 60% of the people believe the same thing, do you think that would actually sway this young man's mind? Or is he just making another bad faith argument? Because I have news for him. Christianity over the years has done nothing but grow and grow. There are billions of people on the planet who tend to believe the same thing that Cliffe is arguing for here.
And I can promise you, sir, I am convinced to the root of my being that Jesus Christ loves you, that he's got heaven out there for you. And I'd be a flaming hypocrite if I didn't tell you about it. That's all I'm saying.
I want to say one more time, and in fact I should probably say this every video. This channel does not exist to attack specific individuals, unless they are people of influence saying really stupid things. But I promise, in that case, I will always try to punch up, as it were. But the reason for this channel's existence is to pick apart and show bad arguments when we see them. 4 times that student avoided answering the question that Cliffe was proposing to him. Let me ask you this, based on everything that we saw in that video, what do you think that young student would think about the statement, "Science holds the truth"? I'd say, based on what we saw here and based on what we know about him, he'd likely very much agree with that statement. But here lies the problem. That statement is not scientifically verifiable. That was the point that Cliffe was trying to get at. Now, I actually have a video where I dive into some of the deeper truths in life that we can know without using science. If that interests you, I'd recommend checking it out right here.